ॐ अयाहि वरदे देवी त्र्यक्षरे ब्रह्मवादिनि गायत्री छन्दसां माता ब्रह्मजनी नमस्तुते। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय आविराविर्मयेधि रुद्रजत्ते दक्षिणमुखां तेन मां पाहि नित्यं तेन मां पाहि नित्यम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। O Divine Mother of the Universe, reveal Thyself in our heart and in our midst. We invoke Thy presence amidst us. Thou art the supreme word of the Scriptures. Thou art the embodiment of knowledge and liberation. Thou art the supreme breed to immortality. Lead us from unreal to real, from darkness to light, from death, disease and suffering to immortality. Manifest Thyself in us through and through, and protect us with Thy compassionate face. Om peace, peace be unto us, peace be unto all living beings. This morning, I intend to speak on the subject methods of concentration. It has two parts. We'll speak on the first part this morning, and the second part would be next Sunday. I'm reading from Swami Vivekananda on the subject. The fact, however, is that the objects of meditation can never be the same in the case of all men. People have proclaimed and preached to others only those external objects to which they held on to become perfected in meditation, oblivious of the fact later on that these objects are aids to the attainment of perfect mental calmness. Men have extolled them beyond everything else. They have wholly concerned themselves with the means, getting comparatively unmindful of the end. The real aim is to make the mind functionless, but it cannot be got at unless one becomes absorbed in the same subject. You must therefore keep the mind fixed on one object, like an unbroken stream of oil. The ordinary man's mind is scattered on different objects, and at the time of meditation too the mind is at first apt to wander. But let any desire, whatever arise in the mind, you must sit calmly and watch what sort of ideas are coming. By continuing to watch in that way, the mind becomes calm, and there are no thought waves in it. These waves represent the thought activity of the mind. Those things that you have previously thought too deeply have transformed themselves into a subconscious current, and therefore these come up in the mind during meditation. The rise of these waves or thoughts during meditation is an evidence that your mind is tending toward concentration. Sometimes the mind is concentrated on a set of ideas. This is called meditation with vikalpa or oscillation. But when the mind becomes almost free from all activities, it melts in the inner self, which is the essence of the infinite knowledge, one and itself its own support. Within us there is the lion, the eternally pure, illumined and ever free Atman, the Self. And directly one realizes him through meditation and concentration. When it is done, the world of delusion vanishes. The great help in spiritual life is this meditation. In meditation, we divest ourselves of all material conditions and feel our divine nature. We do not depend upon any external help. The greatest thing is this meditation. It is the nearest approach to spiritual life. It is the one moment in our daily life that we are not material, the soul thinking of itself, free from all matter, this marvelous touch of the soul. There is a gulf of difference between theories of meditation and practice. It has been described by various systems in various ways. When we read the theories, they seem easy. But when you come to practice, it becomes extremely difficult. Knowledge comes in a flash. But preparation for that knowledge takes many months and years. Shankaracharya, in his Crestule of Discrimination, maintains that success depends upon the person, his ability, its fitness, physical, mental fitness. Place, time, and other things, they are auxiliaries. They are secondary matters. Main thing is the strength. Again, this is not one of the many practices which we think. In modern times, everybody thinks that he or she is qualified for this. I was told a few years ago by one of our very close devotees that, sir, to practice this, there are so many conditions, so many fitnesses required. It seems to be very difficult. Maybe this is not very natural. I said that show me any walk of life where you do not need preparation. You began to prepare even when you started walking from your babyhood. You fell down many times. You screamed, but your parents enjoyed, clapped, even gave rewards. Then you prepare for your school, your degree. Then you prepared for car driving. Then also you prepared yourself for many mistakes. Fitness in any walk of life is needed. So, this is not one of the practices. Frankly speaking, from Orthodox point of view, this is a postgraduate practice in spiritual matters. One cannot reach the postgraduate stage unless one has finished the school, the grade, and undergraduate, graduate. But we often begin with the postgraduate stage. Then probably sometimes go toward the school. And that makes the thing difficult. Probably those who have read and studied, this is the first of the internal practices. System of Patanjali describes the 8-limbed practice. Of that, the first 5 are external, called Bahiranga Yoga. Bahiranga means external limbs. They are beginning from moral ethical practices, to withdrawal, concentration, control of the body and breath, and so forth. Last three, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. Concentration, meditation, samadhi, three internal. Three taken together is called samyama. It is the last leg of the journey. But I cannot reach the last leg. I have completed the first leg, second leg, third leg. Because it is a culmination of all practices, all ceremonies, charities, prayers, pilgrimage, study, physical exercise, and so forth. They culminate in this state of meditation. Even the Hatha Yoga practices people do, they become futile unless the goal is that. I once asked a Hatha Yogi that when you do the stretch exercise, stretching, I said, what do you stretch for? You stretch for money or beauty or health. Depending upon what you stretch for will be your result. Next comes that this is an internal, and if the person is alone there is no external help. That makes it more difficult. A person in his own company, and generally it is said that one who is all the time in his own company, he is not necessarily in a very good company, because mind is untrained. It is where concentration ends, it has been said. Meditation begins where concentration ends. So long you are concentrating, you are not meditating. Concentration is effortful, conscious. In concentration, whole mind does not respond. We succeed in any matter depending upon how much percentage of our mind is responding. Average person, if he is able to make his mind respond 25%, he will be a world hero. 75% of our mind that completely scattered, wasted. With 25% we work. Of them, some may be 1, 2, 5, 3. Then again, depending upon situation and circumstances, the percentage becomes less or more. So long it is effortful, it is not meditation. When that becomes spontaneous, we call it a state of meditation. Many people think means you become stiff in meditation. Actually, it is not. It's the most spontaneous feeling inside. So Ramakrishna says, how do you know that when you have succeeded to some extent, that you will lose the lapse of time, lose the sense of the lapse of time. You will not be aware. You will lose, or you will not be thinking about yourself. You will be unaware of yourself. Third, you will be oblivious of the surrounding. Think of that if someday you forgot yourself. We love so much ourselves. Why we feel so good that I forgot myself? Definitely that proves that our love, so-called to ourselves, is not really love. We hate ourselves. That's why we feel that, well, for the last 1 hour, I was forgetful of myself. Self-forgetfulness. Then the time. You reach the border of timeless. Time is a fiction of the mind, based upon imagination. Time moves, we say. Time passes. Time neither moves nor passes. That is mind limiting the timeless, manufactured time. We say time passes. We reach the timeless in that depth. Timeless is infinite, changeless, absolute peace and calm. That is why we feel so good. The state of meditation, again, is not the contemplation, not dialogue. Many people think that in meditation I talk to God. We do not talk to God. We talk to ourselves. So it is not a dialogue. It is not a silent prayer. It is not contemplation. In the Western context, often it is mixed up. It is often considered a silent prayer. But in this, there is no prayer. It is only being there. Contemplation is where a mind, like a bee, hovering around a flower, just about to sit. When it sits down and begins to sip honey, that is the state of meditation. But the bee buzzes around or hums twice before sitting and after it has tasted. After tasting, it comes back with a sense of intoxication, which is called divine inebriation. And it remains in that state. Each time you sit down to meditate or pray, you are making several things happen. First, you are trying to gain a mental altitude. We might call it spiritual altitude. Those are the peak periods. If you sit down in the morning and evening, a definite period, you take off and you gain an altitude. Then, after that, during your activity, you begin to lose altitude. But how much you lose? That depends upon how much you gained. If you have not been able to take off at all, no question of gaining altitude. If you lose too much altitude, you will crash. The trees are there, houses are there. Again, by the time in the next round, you again swing back. The success depends how long, how far you can carry forward that state of mind. Second, you are voluntarily inducing into your system a reverse cycle of thought. And thought is connected with motivations, including body chemistry. Before that, body chemistry is moving in an automatic way. But after that, you reverse the process. Thought creates change in our body, blood, and chemistry. Often people say that, well, I do not know the person's body chemistry. He is unpredictable. If you know the chemistry, then you can relate. Chemistry means where are the person's wrong sides. You do not rub the wrong side. It is it. You reverse a cycle. You induce. Third, you are trying to die temporarily in a measured way. Death is a terrible thing. Cure for death lies inside death. Anything in this world, solution to the problem remains embedded in the heart of the problem. The very thing which is the cause of problem, that very thing holds the solution. You will find this doctrine is used in a mass scale in commercial and industrial productions. Medicine has come. The antidote against a virus is developed by controlling the virus. Many poisons, even serum for cobra bite, is developed out of the cobra poison, venom. So similarly here, you temporarily, in a measured degree, induce voluntarily, consciously, an iota of death. When you die voluntarily, we call it bliss, samadhi. Samadhi is you died voluntarily. But when somebody forces that on us, it is hell, not bliss. Again, nature enforces us to die daily in a certain degree. After days hard work, we die, which is sleep. Then again in the morning wake up. It is not 100% death. 100% physical death is when we do not wake up. So therefore, we are trying to induce into a system a measured dose of death, which is technically known as withdrawal, to rejuvenate, to charge ourselves more strength. So we are dying. Next, we pass into the world, through the world of memories in that state. First we cross the border of the physical world. Then the world of memories. Then the world of ego. Then we reach our fourth dimension, which is the pure self. We trying to become our true self. Average person is not a true self. He has many hats, and he changes hats according to the situation. Which is his true hat? That is not known. Now you see in one hat, next time you see another hat. Which is true self? We are constantly trying to imitate others. We do not have a correct self-image. We grasp one, try for some time, then I change. Pick up another, then I discard. Ordinary life is in search of a steady, unchanging self-image, which is true. These things we voluntarily do. We become, next, videho, a text says, bereft of body. We come out of our body in that state. These are the happenings we happen. But then, to make them happen is very difficult. Why difficult? Because the mind. Average mind cannot concentrate. It cannot think of one thing. It cannot think of many things. To think of one thing is called spiritual practice. Concentration, meditation, they are nothing unusual. The fundamental hypothesis is that the human mind, left to itself, gravitates toward the higher, which is different from and departure from the Freudian context. You see, the average man is a libido-driven creature. But the Upanishads and other hosts of other texts are telling that no, average man, if he is perverted, evil, because his passage toward the upper levels has been blocked. If he is a fox, because he has been unable to become a lion. That is why he is a fox. And when a lion becomes fox, he is a dangerous fox, because he has the techniques and ability of the lion, but using that on the fox level. When a human being becomes a fox, he is much more efficient than the wild fox, because he has all the sophistication. Hence, it is maintained that his natural gravitation is toward the higher. We call it a practice because there are obstacles. If there be no obstacle, his mind will gravitate toward higher. This is the unique concept of the Upanishad. He is naturally good, naturally pure. That is why he feels impurity as an obstacle, as something foreign. It is not part of the system. The body-mind, they refuse to accept that and try to combat that in various ways. Hence, solution is not to fight the evil, but to heighten the good. To fighting evil, you cannot obliterate evil. Bhagavad Gita tells us that when this supreme consciousness moves upward, it reaches heaven. It is being called prema, the Sanskrit word, love divine. When it is misdirected, goes downward, it is being called kama. Unable to love others, he loves himself. That's the idea. Self-love, which is narcissism, is an aberration, an inability of love divine, a corrupt form, unable to be challenged. Even Vedanta psychology says that ego blocks the free flow of emotions. Human emotion, which is always spontaneous, cosmocentric. Cosmocentric means covering all. But being blocked, it falls back upon itself. It's like a river. You obstruct the flow with a dam, it will flood the background. So the hatred, lust, greed, the aberrations, they are not different things. The failure of the free flow of human mind because of the mental block. Mental blocks have been caused by the wrong way of living. Thoughts entertained becomes a habit. Habits repeated becomes character. The texts even say the disease, which is in Sanskrit called Vyadhi, has its root in called Adhi, another Sanskrit word. Adhi is an outlook of life, attitude toward life. Adhi again made of a cluster of values and virtues. These values and virtues, they inspire thoughts. Thoughts transfer themselves into the form of volitions, into the muscles, blood, and energy level. If that is wrong, then it wears the person out. So there is a connection between even a physical disease, an ailment, with the thought level. You may cure a disease by medicine. By that, you are not curing the root cause. The person would not be able to maintain the health because Adhi has not been taken care of. So therefore, to have a full cure, both Adhi and Vyadhi must be taken care of. Hence the ego is there, habit is there, they are blocking. So average mind cannot concentrate. You cannot think of one thing steadily or many things consistently. You can try that from tomorrow you will live whimsically. You can try one experiment from tomorrow, that I will regularly wake up at different times. Anything which I want to do, I will do the opposite. From tomorrow, I will not have any scruple. I will tell lies. You will have very much difficulty in doing that. Because the moment you follow a principle that in a very regular, disciplined way, I will be hectic and helter-skelter, you are following a discipline. And mind will resist. Mind will think, oh, he is trapping me in a different way. He is trying to be regularly irregular. Disciplined way indisciplined. The mind will resist. So it is neither this nor that. It is said that when we cannot do, we blame. Oh, this is due to this I could not do. Today the weather is bad, I couldn't concentrate. Well, probably the incense is wrong. I'm burning. Well, this is this. There is saying that how we blame. Psychology tells us that it is bad to be an orphan. It is terrible to be only child. It is damaging to be the youngest. It is crushing to be the middle and taxing to be the oldest. There is no way except to be born as an adult. So always he is thinking that due to this, due to that, this is happening. This is the trick of the mind. Mind resists. The average mind, therefore, it is unable to concentrate. It is always at the whims of its mood. It has made inbuilt groups through strong repetition, and it cannot go beyond that group. There is much in the wisdom that the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak. Spirit wants, but the flesh resists. We cannot, the mind by nature, turbulent, stubborn, and restless, averse to any kind of regularity. It is constantly being pulled in by different directions of sanskaras and ingrained habits of the past. Hence, we cannot concentrate. Concentrating means you are asserting a discipline. Mind resists. Average person does not feel any problem. There is a saying that you have a fear of fall when you have a reason to some extent high. A teacher examines a student by question, what problems you are having? If the answer is no problem, it conveys two things. That either the person is not doing anything or the person has achieved everything. Then you ask a person how your daily spiritual vocations are going. If the person says, oh, it is very good, that means the person is not doing anything. Then, in the beginning, it is said, a person feels very romantic. It is romantic means he feels, what do you call? Even if you go to a vacation, first 2 days would be wonderful. Because you physically arrived. Mind is coming back in the next car. The loads which are there, because loads are in the what we call U-Haul, so they are coming back. As soon as the mind arrives, vacation is gone. This is the usual rule. Similarly, sometimes in some cases mind arrives first, body arrives later. This is called modern day pilgrimage. You take a jet plane, go to the Himalayas, body arrived, but mind is still hanging around in New York City. By the time mind goes, you are back here. So therefore, there is a connection between body and mind. How to have the mind also accompany the body? Similarly, in daily practices, it is said 3 persons in us, they do spiritual practices. When you meditate, when you pray, there are 3. This is the doctrine of the Tantra. First is called Posu. Second is called Biro, hero. Posu means animal. Third is called Dibba, divine. So first, you sit down. Body is animal because it has animal propensities. Desires are thick. Desires are worldly. Desires are body satisfaction desires. If our desires had been all very fine desires, we will be angels. We will be flying in the air, not driving automobile. Since we are driving automobile, desires are thick. So it has produced a thick body. These desires, so therefore body sits down to meditate. Think of that daily when you go to your prayer. Body goes. Mind is still doing this, that. Then mind joins. The hero. Then there is a third element, Dibba, the soul. Similarly, when you are telling beads, rosary, first the animal starts. And this animal is being described, the monkey. Human monkey, fickle, frivolous. Then at one stage, the hero takes over. It's like a relay race. The mind takes over. Then at some point, you are unconscious, the soul has taken over. Outside you are doing physically, but you are not aware of your physical movement. It has been passed to the third. When the 3 in unison, That is the most unique situation. The animal, the hero, and the divine, they are in conjoined form doing it. It's a wonderful spiritual symphony develops. Otherwise, the animal is beating the drum, but the mind is not playing the instrument, flute or the saxophone. And the other one, he is also sitting that time having coffee. So simply drum does not make a symphony. So the mind resists. They call, whenever you want to do in a disciplined way, you divide yourself. Whenever you want to do consciously, you are summoning your thoughts of similar character lying in different corners of the mind. This is called polarization. When you decide that I am going to be good, disciplined, you are summoning all the good thoughts in you. They combine, they form an alliance. But simultaneously, all the contrary thoughts, disparate and diverse, they also combine. It is like a NATO and Warsaw Pact. The two alliances formed. As the good thoughts combine, the bad thoughts also combine. Since in the beginning, good thoughts are a small category, defeat is inevitable. But then, beginning a spiritual adventure, you have created a beachhead. In military they say, you just land somewhere and hold on to the ground. From there you begin to proceed. Then in one stage, these battles will come. It is living many lives in one life. It is being called spiritual living, means intense living, conscious living, inspired living, living every moment, every minute, every second. In one life you are living maybe 100, 200 lives at one time. You have to contend with your thoughts. There is no escape. There is no easy solution. There is no shortcut. Someday, somewhere, each one. Then at one stage you overcome. But when you overcome, contrary thoughts, they go underground or in the background. When they go underground, guerrilla war starts. That's the second phase. When you have advanced, you have conquered the territory, but you find sniper fires are going. You don't know from which direction it is coming. In that stage, you start a moping operation. You must mop them out, flush them out. That is a little advanced stage I'm talking. Question comes, how to invoke the mind? It's concentration. Mind always says no. When you say yes, it says no. When you say no, it says yes. This is the situation. Bhagavad Gita gives us 3 epithets about the average mind. Stubborn, stupid, and stubborn in its stupidity. This is the nature. It is averse to any kind of discipline. How you do it? You will find many times when you do not want to meditate, it wants to meditate. When you are walking in a subway, driving a car, it wants to meditate. When you go to the prayer room, it does not. It's the mood. How to invoke concentration, that is your goal. And make concentration spiritual. Earlier I said, all concentrations are not spiritual. Concentration is a normal practice of a human being. Only its subjects differ. Now job, next furniture, next cooking, subjects are changing. Always there is concentration. I told you many examples. If you go to the Wall Street Security Exchange, you will find how thousands of people wrapped in meditation and concentration to the ticker tape. You go to the gambling race course, you will find how completely they are going. The moment you make the subject one, fixed, it becomes spiritual. That's the difference. When you change it, it is worldly. When you keep the subject constant, it is spiritual. How to invoke? At will, consciously. Whole purpose is to bring the whole thing into a conscious level. Average person, 60% to 70% lives in the subconscious. His responses are mechanical, automatic. When you do it consciously, it becomes spiritual. The role of the conscious mind cannot be exaggerated. How to do it consciously? Here comes a number of methods adopted by different systems in various ways. Three things, therefore, remain fixed factor in spiritual meditation. The subject. Then, the center of consciousness, while you hold the mind, fixed. And the techniques and methods you follow, they remain the same. That means how you invoke the mind. About the subject, what is the proper subject? Various systems have given various ideas. Subject says that subject can be basically two, which is the Sankhya doctrine, Purusha, the indwelling self, or God. Other is Prakriti, the world of matter. God we have not seen. Nobody has given us a picture. So therefore we cannot, meditate on God with a definite form. Some say God is a man, some say God is a woman. Some say God is neuter. So therefore there is no definite picture. Self we don't know. So we are left with the world of matter, Prakriti. You choose anything. What happens? Since our ideas of God or image of God conventionally known and conventionally any world of matter, both are thoughts. If you pick up one subject, even a chair, theoretically, you can. You reach a stage where matter and thought, they join. You must remember, mind remained mind and part of the mind began to evolve and became matter. At one stage there is no distinction where matter ends and spirit begins. The matter which is now solid, if you transform, it will be a gas, it will be luminous, it will be ethereal, ultimately it will be thought. If you go to the planetarium on the west side, there is a big plaque quoting Thomas Eddington. The world is made of one-stop mind. Because it is Eddington, it is hanging there. If it had been Patanjali, they said this is a oriental hocus pocus. This is. But that thought, mind is thought. World is made of thought. Thought solidified becomes matter. Then this mind is again not pure. Pure mind means no mind. Therefore it is said, mind is mind because you are minding others' business. That's why it is mind. So this mind, you need its help. This mind is creating a havoc. You have no escape but to take its help. You need its help, its cooperation. Without that, you cannot. Mental problem, difficulties cannot be overcome by anything else. A thought can be contented by a thought, a habit by a habit, an action by an action. So how to invoke? They studied. Basic theory is that this cause has produced this effect. We do not know the cause, how deep it is, how far it is. It has a deep root. A man was sitting in a dentist's chair, and the dentist with his forceps was pulling the teeth. The man screamed and jumped. The dentist gave a knock in his buttock with his knee. The man sat down, teeth came out. Dentist said, I didn't know the root of the teeth is up to the buttock. So similarly, it has a deep root. So the root we do not know, effect. So by controlling the effect, changing the habit, we go to the root cause. Hence the method is being said that ultimately at one stage your mind meditates on the mind. Both are images. Whether you think of cross, Christ, Buddha or Nirvana, these are your thoughts. You choose one. Keep it fixed. Never change it. Next is, where you meditate? Outside you or inside you? They are called centers of consciousness. Theoretically, you can meditate in any part. You concentrate on your toenail, let us say. It is possible. Or on the tip of your nose. It is possible. In one place you must keep it fixed. Usually it is said either in the heart, on the forehead, on the crown of the head. Whole purpose is to bring the mind to the upper level. Mind living long time in the cellar, in darkness, in stench and dingy place. It has developed a taste. It has a remarkable capacity to adjust to anything. If a person lives in stench, he has a love for the stench. For him, fragrance of flowers would be terrible, suffocating, because mind has developed a taste. If you tell a person that you have to live in this one corner here next 10 years, in the beginning it will be difficult. After that he will develop a taste. Even if you take him to a palace, he said, no, this corner is wonderful. This is the habit of the mind. It's a remarkable capacity to adjust to any conditions. We do not know the strength. We underestimate. That's why it is said that men are like tea bags. They don't know their strength until you put them in hot water. When in hot water, they develop their strength. So mind, how to invoke? That became the concern. So it began that first is you must study. You should not think. You should not underestimate or overestimate your think. Those who think, first thing is necessary, that I am not unworthy. First condition. Not to take a mean view. Since you are attempting to practice, means you are implicitly agreeing, admitting that you have the potential. I've told many times that Whenever you feel a problem about anything, financial, spiritual, physical, you are indirectly admitting the resource to solve is there in you. Otherwise, you never go to make an attempt. Think of that. Millions of people, they don't care about spiritual. They are quite happy with their potato chips and beer can, movie and theater. You people are microscopic minorities. The majority in the world, they tell spiritual people as square, odd, escapist. They are always meditating on their navel. This is their idol. But still you do. Average person cannot dare practice that. They are afraid. But still a person is venturing to do it. That means the person knows that it can. This is the first condition. Second condition, that he wants to control his mind. A person who daily attempts twice at least has started exercising control over his body, bodily habits and mental thoughts. One text says that that person is not an ordinary human being. He is a celestial being in human form, born on earth. Ordinary human being has so much animal propensities, he will never think of doing it. To think that I value my doing it, the first condition. My spiritual endeavor is not by the pressure of circumstances, not to gain a lottery, not to have the applaud and acclaim, not being pressured by fear, but by my nobility I want to do. Even if the whole world does other things, still I will do. This is my nature. This noble conviction is the first thing. So he tries. He should not demean himself. Then again, he should not overestimate that I have this thing, I can accomplish. Many people read Swami Vivekananda's book and the line, in 6 months you will be a yogi. They remember that line. But before 6 months, what have to be done? They don't think of that. And because that is a little difficult. So it is said that, therefore, you should not overestimate. Somebody put an ad, overestimate. Sometimes you feel that by having a name, it helps in concentrating the mind. A holy name. You will find. People think that if I change the name, that will help to control the mind. Instead of my name is Roseanne, if I have name Ganga, that somebody gave me an ad of a lost dog. I can show you to bring you, I brought it. And in the below it is written, 3 legs, blind in left eye, missing right ear, tail broken, recently castrated, but answers to the name of Lucky. So this is, well, let us not think that way. So let us take a very moderate position, neither overestimating nor underestimating. So first thing being used, that it comes that 3 things. The mind, in or any project we need to concentrate, mood. In order to develop willful concentration, you must need a mood. Mood plays an important role in anything we do. Really, meditating means concentrating is kind of brooding. Mood brings brood. Worldly man broods. Brooding is a kind of dream, imagination, fantasy. So they have used the fantasy in spiritual matters. Spiritual fantasy. Anything that which is reality at one time was a dream. We must remember. Many things which came later, science discoveries, they were originally as science fiction. But then it came to be true. So brooding is spiritual fantasy. To have brooding, you need a mood. In order to have mood, you need attachment. In order to have attachment, you need one-pointed loyalty. It is a graded thing. You don't feel the mood unless you are committed. In mysticism, it is called marriage of the two souls, the individual soul and the supreme soul. This is. So the mood is created. When you go to a restaurant, they create a mood. People sit there, dim light, rock and roll music, and the smell of the cooking, the waitresses, their dress, their talk, create a mood. People when go to theater, they have a mood. Mood is a function. When you go to sit down on your wheels, you summon a mood. You tighten your belt, you fix up the teddy bear hanging a rabbit's feet, you give a jerk so that you are summoning your attention. Mood. Similarly, in a dining table, table manners, and all these to invoke a mood. Then what happens? Before you dine, first is served appetizer. Main course does not come. Little juice, little cheese, cracker, you munch, talk, mouth salivates, you create a mood. Although I know in the restaurant that in a tavern, you go there, dim light, whisper, these are mood, drinking. Particularly also in the restaurants and tavern, dim light so that you cannot read the menu properly. Purposely they do it, or see the price. Similarly here, a mood is created. This attempt, its mood, is adopted first, how you sit down. So posture comes. You may say, posture can create a mood? Yes. When you feel depressed, you sit in one posture. Your posture changes. You may not be aware. When you are angry, you have a posture. Now the posture moods are used also. Some words use, sound symbols. You have seen that when they carry something load or anything, they give in unison a cry. These are called mantras. Mantras create mood. If you go to the West Point Military Academy, they have mantras. They have postures. You want to be a Marine, you have to stand in a certain posture. You have to hold the bayonet. You have to chant the mantra, kill, destroy. These are loudly. Your body, your biochemistry, your blood, they begin to flow quickly. So here also, posture. Sitting posture is recommended. Why? Because person while lying posture, he sleeps. Lying posture. So sitting posture. Main thing is being said, upward movement of the mind to keep the spine free. the posture. There are 84 postures of Hatha Yoga. Of that, 2 are used for spiritual practices. Rest are not for spiritual practices but for upkeep of the health, which is being called lotus posture. Locked lotus or open, suitable. You will find in Christianity they bend. In Muslims, they use a posture which is very similar to one of the Hatha Yoga posture called Siddhasana. They sit on their heels. So therefore, posture has much to do. Since a man depressed, he becomes bent, bowed, low. If he sits straight, he will feel exhilarated. Even though we think cause of depression or sadness is an event, it is not. Mind is using an event as an excuse to feel depressed. Events are happening all the time. When your mind becomes weak, a small event can trigger up. Immediately, the body's various glands, they begin to secrete some kind of adverse enzymes. As a result, you feel depressed. So by sitting that, you reverse the process. You feel energized, strong and alert. Posture. Next is time. Time has an important thing. In the beginning, we need the help of time, nature. In the beginning, we are not strong. We are at the mercy of moods, situations, circumstances. So therefore, we need help. The help of nature. It is said that 4 quarters of the day and night, nature becomes calm. We forget that we are like plants and trees, as part of nature. Early dawn before sunrise, midday, junction of day and night, and midnight. Nature releases a current of calmness and tranquility. These are called nature's in-breathing and out-breathing. It has a tendency to become calm, to take advantage of that. The early dawn before sunrise, there is a Rigvedic verse, he comes, he means here God, the divine, and distributes his treasures. That time. Curiously enough, in the biblical analogy, probably you remember, the virgins, those who are waiting for the passing of the bridegroom, one who fell asleep, she missed. Others were waiting with the lamp. The analogy. The same here, not falling asleep. Psychological reason is that during the last part of the night, if you oversleep, gross desires in the form of thought currents, they come in the ascendancy. For example, for maintaining purity, moral purity, not to sleep last part of the night. Body becomes a victim of the gross thoughts and desires. By waking up at that time, you avoid those unrashes. That is the psychological reason. Spiritual reason is that at that time nature remains calm, a kind of spiritual current flows through the nature, and to take the benefit of that. Then noon. That time nature takes a break. This is nature's luncheon break, noon. Midday. It is difficult in an industrial city to see which is midday and which is midnight. But this is still true. Then comes junction of day and night. Day ending, night beginning. Those are junctions where nature becomes calm. All the birds, beasts, they go to their nests, people come home. That time tranquility. Then midnight. The silence of the midnight. To take these benefits of those times, nature's calmness. Then, physical condition. Further, in its posture it is being said, often it is said, well, which direction? When you are strong, any direction is all right. But when you are weak, you need some help. This is Earth's rotating movement. You follow that. So either east or north. North and south, the polar currents are connecting themselves. And rotating movement, you be in favor of that. It is like when you are driving a car, if you sit with your back toward the front, you will have a lot of bumping because you are sitting against the motion. So therefore, if you sit in that motion, it becomes favorable. This much it is. But when you are adept, it does not matter. All these things in the beginning. Physical condition. It is said, physical condition depends, that no condition is given to us. Favorable condition. Conditions vary. That is, it can be condition of nature, health, food, eating. Environment, it is said, must be holy. A person should go once in a while to the solitude of environment. Now, what is proper place for meditating? That a place is considered holy, spiritually conducive, where people live, practice self-control, spiritual practice. Here we are entering into discussion of vibrations. A temple is holy, not because of its wall, but because of the thought currents of the people remain deposited there. That is why it is holy. Everything in the universe all the time vibrating. Vibrations are of three kinds. Vibrations of dullness, restlessness, calmness. Again, the same person can vibrate depending upon situation, circumstances. When he is taken over by inertia, greed, lust, he vibrates, gives out vibrations of dullness. When he is taken over by passion, desire, he gives out vibrations of restlessness. Same person, when he is calm, tranquil, he gives vibrations of holiness. So all the time, where these sins in a temple, place of worship, generally people vibrate in a spiritual way, those thoughts remain deposited there. So when you come there, mind becomes automatically tranquil. It is said as bad things are infectious, good things are more infectious. They become contagious and infectious. So the place is holy, where a holy men are honored, sacred texts are uttered, prayers, self-sacrifices are practiced, self-control is practiced. One text says that one should not associate with people, those who are too much sensual. Not only that, they should avoid associating with people, those who associate with them. Anything that has not been heard, not been seen, cannot raise thought waves of sensuality in the mind. So therefore, not to at least see and hear in the beginning, because those will evoke those thoughts which are lying deep inside. So therefore, these are called hedging around. So environment is that of favorable vibration. Now, these vibrations remain here and there. So in the beginning, one must seek company and good place. Solitude means unclean should not be barren. It should be where some holy thoughts have remained deposited in the beginning. Until you have enough accumulated in your own home, until then you take the external aids. This much is for vibration. After that being called third, certain suggestions are given to invoke, called gestures, mudras. Like you sit down, give a suggestion that you are now surrounded by a circle of fire. Nothing can penetrate that fire. Any impure thoughts, if it tries to cross, will be burnt up. These are called, what do you call, gestures and suggestions. It varies, they vary from culture to culture. So therefore, these gestures and postures are followed. Then it is being said, some reasoning. When a thought comes, thought of distraction, you take care of it right at the root. First, it manifests in the intellect, then in the emotion, then in the physical level. Anger, when you become angry, you cannot do anything. You must, when the anger thought is rising, or a thought of lust, you take care of there at the root. Sometimes reasoning, contrary, helpful. It is like, it takes 26 muscles to smile, 62 muscles to frown. So why not then make it easy for yourself? That it requires 62 muscles to become angry. Why make so hard work to become angry? So therefore, these are called reasoning. Take care at the root. So gestures. Then it is being said, food, eating. Bhagavad Gita says, food should be pure. Purity of food in the beginning is very essential. It should be scientifically pure, spiritually pure, and qualitatively pure. Three kinds of purity is being discussed. One is food which is fresh, wholesome. That is called qualitatively pure, conducive to the mind and body. Not exciting, not palatable. Scientifically pure, free from disease, bacteria. But there is a third, which is called moral spiritual purity. Because if the food is procured through an agency, served by people who are morally unstable or of questionable character, that's a deadly poison for the new spiritual fledgling. Contaminated by the touch from which the sacramental food came. Why sacramental offerings are considered pure? Because it has holy vibrations. We do not make a distinction of that, but in the beginning it is necessary. Again, food, eating. Bhagavad Gita says, at one time you should not eat more than half your stomach. 1/4 should be kept free for the passage of air, and the another quarter for water. Only half. That is the food. A yogi should not eat at one time any heavy meal. He should eat healthy food bit by bit in different time, not at one time. Because if you eat heavy food, half of your energy will go to digest that food. Not only that, you should not accumulate too much physical energy in you, which you cannot use for spiritual purposes. Because physical energy, when you collect, unless you can convert that into spiritual, it will make its way out. It will create tornado or it will create ditch. So therefore, not to accumulate too much at one time which you cannot handle. Conversion comes how you use the physical energy for what purpose. That converts. If the motivation is worldly, it will not be converted. If the motivation is spiritual, it becomes quickly converted. That energy remains stored in the brain as a mark of purity and strength. Then comes called hedging around. A little plan should be kept, hedging around. Defenses. Selection of company, time, environment, people, friends. Then uses of sounds, sights, and symbols. These are adopted to invoke concentration. That is from which came light, fragrance, incense, depending upon the culture. With these aids, mind gradually collected. You invoke a mood. Mood comes like you dress yourself, bathe, then you put on, you enter into a place, you are now mounted on a mood. When the mood has come, brood is next to come. So therefore, following a certain pattern of observances, physical, mental, suggestive, and speculative, but you follow, these are called auto-suggestion. You give them. You get hold of the mind. And these things remain fixed. Long ago, I saw a holy man in India. 3 o'clock in the morning, he will wake up, he will bathe. He was a Hatha yogi, big person, long hair. But he will take a cup of tea and a piece of sweet. That appeared to me to be what we call not very spiritual. But later on, I thought that probably by that he feels a mood. Maybe that food is sacramental food. So therefore, these observances, what will be for whom? It depends upon a prescription by a teacher. But he must follow the steps. You guide your mind from one to the other, first to the second to the third. If you guide the mind in the same track every day, in course of time, as soon as you do one, mind will pick up, follow the next, follow the next. You won't have to do anything. Mind is a creature of habit. It follows a beaten track. By keeping the factors fixed, 3, the methods adopted, the center of consciousness, and the subject, a deep canal it develops, and its energy flows. The more energy is flowing in that direction, it will flow less toward the downward. So these we discussed up to posture, time, physical condition, environment, and the symbols. The next ones will the pranayama, japa, and mystic worship, 3 important techniques used by different systems for our next Sunday. Thank you. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma sarupine avatara paristhaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. We bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, who is the embodiment of the divine, establisher of religions, and foremost of the incarnations of God. Om, peace, peace be unto us, unto all living beings.